What were Dooku's true feelings and deeper opinions of Darth Maul? This is not a story innately about Maul, it is a story about Dooku, and how his opinion of Maul evolved in a way that is rarely discussed, one that is often misunderstood within the lore. At face value, the answer seems simple. Dooku despised Maul. He stood opposed to everything that Maul represented. Their philosophies clashed, their approaches to violence could not have been further apart, and early on, Dooku did not even consider Maul to be a true Sith Lord in a meaningful sense of the word. In fact, Dooku hated him. Not just because Maul served Sidious before him, but because Maul embodied a version of the dark side that Dooku found crude, wasteful, and beneath him. Where Dooku prized discipline and control, Maul thrived on fury and domination. Where Dooku believed the Sith should rule through superiority, Maul existed only to destroy in his eyes. And yet, this is where the lore becomes very interesting, because as the Clone Wars progress, and as Dooku himself grew deeper in his understanding of the dark side, something unexpected occurs. Dooku's view of Darth Maul changed, not suddenly, but deliberately, in a way that speaks volumes about who Dooku truly was beneath the title of a Lord of the Sith. By the end of this analysis, it becomes clear that Dooku no longer held a begrudging respect for Maul, he held a legitimate one. And that realization, quiet, restrained, and never openly spoken out loud, reveals why Dooku stands apart from nearly every other Sith Lord in the Star Wars mythos. But before we begin, we have a small message. The Sith believed knowledge should be hoarded, but we disagree. Subscribe to the archives and take what they would rather keep hidden. To understand why Dooku's contempt for Maul ran so deep, you have to begin with Qui-Gon Jinn. Qui-Gon was not simply another fallen Jedi to Dooku. He was Dooku's Padawan, his philosophical successor, and the closest thing Dooku ever had to a kindred spirit within the Jedi. While we learn through novels that Qui-Gon did not view Dooku with the same reverence or emotional weight, that imbalance only deepened Dooku's attachment. Dooku believed that he had shaped something rare in Qui-Gon Jinn, something that the Jedi Order itself had failed to recognize. And when Qui-Gon was killed by Darth Maul, that fact mattered. Dooku viewed Maul with great contempt. He was not some rival philosopher. He was not a scholar of the Force. To Dooku, Maul was a creature forged for violence, unleashed rather than refined. And that made the loss of Qui-Gon Jinn intolerable. Qui-Gon was a swordsman trained by Dooku's own hand, a duelist shaped by discipline, control, and intent. A Form 4 Ataru master. To see him cut down by someone Dooku viewed as a savage felt less like a tragedy and more like an insult to his own tutelage. On the surface, Dooku rationalized it easily. Maul relied on surprise, on ferocity, on a weapon and a fighting style that Dooku believed rewarded excess over mastery. In Dooku's mind, Qui-Gon had not been outclassed, he had been overwhelmed, he had been cheated, but beneath that justification sat a quiet and corrosive truth. Qui-Gon Jinn had lost, and that loss haunted Dooku because it represented failure on multiple levels. Failure of the Jedi to protect one of its most independent thinkers, failures of Dooku's own teachings to preserve a student, and perhaps most disturbingly, proof that the galaxy was shifting toward a kind of violence that refinement alone could not always overcome. This is where Dooku's early hatred of Maul has crystallized and cemented. Maul did not just kill Qui-Gon, he invalidated something Dooku believed in. He demonstrated that raw, unrestrained brutality could shatter even the most disciplined blade, and for a man who had built his entire identity around superiority through control, that was unforgivable. For Dooku, a lightsaber was never a weapon, it was an argument. Everything about Dooku's combat style reflected how he believed death should be delivered, deliberately, efficiently, and without excess. His mastery of Form 2 was rooted in control over dominance, minimal movement, precise footwork, attacks chosen not for spectacle, but for inevitability. Dooku did not rush to overwhelm opponents, he dissected them. That philosophy extended naturally into his weapon. Dooku's curved hilt lightsaber was engineered for single combat and precision. It rewarded finesse and punished recklessness. In the hands of a lesser duelist, it was a liability. But in the hands of Dooku, it was a scalpel. Every angle, every rotation, every strike was designed to exhaust your enemy before finishing them. To Dooku, this was proof of his superiority. But Darth Maul represented the opposite extreme. Maul's chosen form, Form 7, embraced violence and momentum. Where Makashi sought balance, Maul sought pressure. His attacks are relentless, aggressive, and designed to overwhelm an opponent's senses before refinement even matters. Maul did not wait for openings, he created them with force. The double-bladed lightsaber was the perfect extension of this approach. Where Dooku's weapon narrowed the duel, Maul's expanded it. It dominated space, multiple angles of attack, and turned combat into controlled chaos. Against multiple enemies or in rapid assault, it was devastating. But to Dooku, it symbolized overindulgence, a weapon that favored aggression over mastery, intimidation over skill. To Dooku, this difference was not merely technical, but it was philosophical as well. Dooku believed that killing should be the final step of a process. Maul treated it as the process itself. One broke enemies under sheer force. One triumphed using only superiority. This is major for why Dooku struggled to recognize Maul as a Sith. Not because Maul lacked power, but because his power was uncontrolled. To Dooku, Maul did not command violence, he embodied it. And that distinction mattered deeply to a Sith who believed that control, not fury, was the true measure of one's dominance. Yet even here, seeds of reevaluation quietly will take root, because despite everything Dooku rejected about Maul, he could not deny his effectiveness. But as the Clone Wars raged on, Dooku began to see patterns that he had once dismissed. Through Asajj Ventress and later Savage Opress, Dooku was forced to confront the reality of what his master had always understood. The Sith were not built to be uniform, they were built to be powerful and useful. Ventress was refinement without sovereignty, trained, disciplined, lethal, yet deliberately kept incomplete. She was an extension of Dooku's will, not a successor to it. Savage, by contrast, was raw power, power barely held together by pain and conditioning. He was not meant to think, he was meant to endure and to destroy. At first, Dooku viewed both through the same lens that he once used for Maul: tools, temporary, and replaceable. But something changed as Dooku deepened his communion with the dark side. With perspective came clarity. Dooku realized that his master Sidious had never viewed Maul as a failure or a mistake. Maul had been a design choice, a living embodiment of terror, a Sith Lord forged not to rule, but to enforce, to break and shatter Jedi, and to destabilize the galaxy through fear. And that realization reframed everything for Dooku. This is why many years into the Clone Wars, Dooku actually refers to Maul as a powerful Sith Lord when he's speaking to Savage Opress. The statement is very analytical. By this point, Dooku understands exactly what Maul was meant to be, and how effective he was in that role. Maul was not incomplete because he lacked control. He was better because he lacked restraint. Dooku controlled his darkness. He tempered it. He believed mastery came from that containment. This is a belief that never changed, but as his understanding of the Sith way deepened, he began to see a kind of sick symmetry in Maul's rage, a purity. Maul did not negotiate with the dark side. He surrendered to it completely, and in doing so became something terrifyingly focused. This is where the respect takes root. Dooku never admired Maul's philosophy, but he came to admire his clarity. Maul's rage was no longer simply chaos, it was purpose-driven, stripped of doubt. In Darth Maul, the dark side was not a tool to be wielded, but it was an identity. And while Dooku would never allow himself to become that, he would no longer deny the power of such an existence. The eyes of the Sith tell the story better than words ever could. Maul's burned yellow almost constantly, consumed by the dark side, unshielded from it. Dooku's rarely did, not because the darkness was weaker, but because it was disciplined, held back, and directed. One was wildfire, the other was a controlled inferno. And Dooku came to recognize that wildfire had its place. The Sith did not conquer the galaxy with philosophers alone, they conquered it with monsters, with figures who could not be reasoned with or broken. Maul had been one of those beautiful monsters, and Dooku finally understood why his master had shaped him the way that he did. That understanding did not make Dooku more like Maul, it made him more Sith. In this understanding, contempt gave way to respect, not for what Maul became later, but for what he had been. A weapon, forged for a specific purpose, devastating in execution. But Dooku's respect for Maul was rooted in a specific moment in time. He respected Maul as Sidious's apprentice, not as the figure Maul would later become. In that earlier role, Maul was exactly what the Sith required. He was merciless, built to tear through opposition without hesitation. Dooku came to recognize that design for what it was, and in doing so, acknowledged Maul as a great Sith Lord in function, if not in philosophy. But Dooku never confused purpose with destiny. Maul was shaped to destroy, not to govern and not to rule. By the end of the Clone Wars, Maul no longer served a defined place within the Sith. He operated outside of the hierarchy, driven by survival and fixation rather than a design. To Dooku, this was not an evolution, it was regression. In the end, Dooku and Maul remained fundamentally different Sith. They approached the dark side differently, they delivered death differently, they existed for different purposes within the Sith design. None of that ever changed. What did change, though, was Dooku. As his understanding of the dark side deepened, Dooku re-evaluated the other apprentice. He put his hatred aside not out of forgiveness, but out of clarity. Dooku viewed Maul not as a savage who defiled something sacred, but as a necessary instrument in a galaxy rotting under Jedi stagnation. He even changed the way he thought about the death of Qui-Gon, in a way that only a Sith could ever accept. Dooku came to view that loss as inevitable, even necessary. He placed the greater blame not on Maul, but on the Jedi Council, on an order that refused to act, refused to change, and allowed its most independent minds to walk alone into a war that it pretended did not exist. Maul did not create that failure, he merely exposed it. And this is what makes Dooku such a compelling Sith Lord. He was capable of revision. He did not cling to this resentment. He did not let pride blind him of his function. He adapted his understanding of the dark side as he matured, and in doing that, acknowledged Maul for what he truly was in his prime, a powerful Sith weapon, perfectly suited for his role. But make no mistake, respect never became equality. There was never a moment where Dooku believed himself inferior to Darth Maul, not in intellect, not in control, and certainly not in mastery of the dark side. Dooku respected Maul as one respects a force of nature, destructive, but limited. But Dooku believed that he was something else entirely. Simply put, superior. So here's the question the archives leave with us. If a Sith can recognize the value of something he once despised, if hatred can give way to understanding without becoming mercy, then which Sith was truly more dangerous? The one who burned with endless rage, or the Sith who keeps his rage hidden in the grass, like a serpent waiting to strike, invisible but present? And if you think Dooku's view of Maul is complicated, just wait until you turn the lens around. If that is a video you would like to see in the future, then like the video and post it in the comments down below. Not everyone is meant to rule, but you didn't make it this far by accident. Reach out and crush that subscribe button. May the Force be with you.
they can say
just to build something up. Not even. I don't expect for much this Christmas. Paul Levesque booking's been slow. No one's getting gifts this year. I'm in debt like TKO. Raw and SmackDown sucks, just end it. That's what I want and I made this clear. Once again, Cody's crying. Someone please go wipe his tears. I just want the booking right. R.I.P. to LA Knight. What more can I do? All you get this Christmas is boo, baby. Season greetings, happy holidays, ho ho ho, merry shitmas. Boy, you know how to ruin someone's holiday spirit. Like I said before, the expectations for this episode was as low as a crackhead credit score. But man, WWE somehow still surprises us with a Raw that's worse than asking for some Jordan retros for Christmas, right? Then you opening up your gift on Christmas Day and ending up with these! Man, this was worse for asking for an iPhone 17, opening up your gift on Christmas Day, and ending up with an iPhone that you never seen. This episode of Raw was worse than health advice from Paul Levesque. Dog, Donald Trump gives Triple H a title like leader of the health department or whatever stupid title he gave him. Then when people actually asked him for some health advice, he says this.
People asking, what do you do during the holidays to stay in shape, to get stronger, to be healthy? The thing is, I think if you're just trying to figure that out, enjoy your holidays. Enjoy the holiday season. Take time, spend it with your families, do whatever it is to make you have a good time.
He said do whatever you want with your family. Get drunk as a skunk. Get high as a giraffe fast. You like candy? Great. Get you some of that booger sugar. There's over 300 million people in the United States. If we all took Paul Levesque's advice, we'll have about 3 people left. Your boy Bobby Monsoon will be out here like Will Smith on I Am Legend. Somebody should ask Trump, what is the criteria to be the head of the health department, man? Maybe you have to have a low IQ, like preferably around -8. Maybe you have to be as slow as molasses, be as sharp as a bowling ball. Oh, lazy Levesque! Couldn't even muster up one sound advice to be healthy during the holidays. But judging by your last pictures on vacation, we shouldn't be that surprised, should we? Now, another thing that's not surprising is how horrible WWE has been lately and how bad they've been building new stars and building new storylines. Now, there's some rumors that's unfortunate. They're saying that the Street Profits will not be renewing their contract in 2026. That's why they've been on the shelf collecting dust. That's why they lost the tag team titles. That's why they had a storyline with Montez Ford that got completely abandoned for no reason. And it seems like they'll be moving on in 2026, man. This makes no sense. The Street Profits could have had the titles, had a bunch of banger matches, but instead the tag team titles are on a team called the Wyatt Shit. And when I tell you this, I could not believe my eyes when I seen what the Wyatt Shit was doing on AAA. This is a literal circus. No, I'm serious. It's literally a circus. It all started when the Wyatts had to fight these clowns called the Psycho Circus on AAA. The Wyatts was already in the ring waiting. The clowns never came out. Instead, they pop up on the Titantron and invite them to fight backstage. The Wyatts go back there and now they're suddenly in some circus, carnival, Chuck E. Cheese type setup. Grown-ass men fighting in an inflatable funhouse like they're 5 years old. Uncle Howdy is getting beat up by dudes half his size. Joe Gacy is being forced to kiss a man in a wig. He acts all upset, but then proceeds to do absolutely nothing about it. So my guess is he liked it. The fight somehow drags all the way back into the ring, just for the Wyatts to lose anyway. They're supposed to be our tag team champions. The tag team titles mean nothing. WWE has turned into the Ringling Brothers, Barlin and Bailey Circus, with the lead clown being Paul Levesque. This ad is brought to you by the Pirates in the chat. Go to BobbyMonsoon.com. Get your Ruthless Depression ad t-shirt. If you're sick of the BS in professional wrestling, if you're sick of the soulless billionaires taking advantage of the fans, show them you had enough. Go to BobbyMonsoon.com. Get the Ruthless Depression ad t-shirt. Then, now, and never again! Raw started off with a lifeless match with the worst storyline in all of professional wrestling. Rhea Ripley and Io Sky being best friends. I cannot believe we're going into 2026 with this stupid ass storyline. Rhea Ripley loses to Asuka. The crowd is dead silent. Nobody cares, not even a little bit. WWE should be ashamed of themselves putting this crap on TV. Then
Weighted dips are like squats for the upper body. They're one of the best upper body exercises you can do because they move the whole body through space. So this means a lot of muscles in your trunk, a lot of stabilizers get used. You get improved neural drive and coordination from this. And I think people forget this even in the pursuit of gaining muscle, they forget that athletic ability and coordination will carry over long term into your progress. And so it's something that I think people downplay. I think it's quite a big deal. But in addition to that, they're a phenomenal chest and tricep exercise, arguably one of the best, because
Hi, what's your name and where are you from?
Hi, I'm Mia Khalifa. I'm from Lebanon.
What do you do for a living?
I am a jewelry designer.
Hi, what's your name and where are you from?
But I guess we should switch now to some modern wrestling action, Brian, because I didn't jot down their names. It's just so preposterous that it happened. But basically, the other night on NXT television, the women's title changed hands, even though they didn't really want it to or plan for it to. It just did somehow. Like it was gone, and it's gone. They changed the belt, especially on a show before Christmas, where they'd already taped stuff through the holiday break, and the girl challenging the championess. Is that how you say it, championess?
And you do know the champion. The champion was Blake Monroe, a.k.a. Mariah May from AEW.
There you go. Oh, Maria May from AEW. Blake Monroe, who they're pushing to try to be a star. I haven't actually heard it's working out real well. But what's the other guy? Thea Hale.
Thea Hall, apparently.
Thea Hall.
Well, no, it is Hale. It is Hale. You're right. It is Hale.
Well, now you change your story. Try to make me see.
I've never seen this person.
Campaign of disinformation. Trying to make me look.
The eye looks like an L. They're next to each other.
Yeah. Put your glasses on, Paul. Anyway, Thea Hale came down like a whole goddamn thunderstorm on Blake Monroe and just squashed her and beat her 1, 2, 3 for the women's title. And they've had to just change all of their shit, and they got mad and they've instituted new policies. I thought we'd just conversate about this for a second, because I, again, don't understand how these things happen. I watched the move in question, and when Blake Monroe was laying in the middle of the ring, waiting for the move to be delivered upon her, Brian, would you say it was a fair description when I say that old Thea Hall jumped up on a second rope, I believe it was, and sprung backwards? And instead of a splash where you splash somebody with your stomach, she's splashing with her back. Would that give everybody the mental picture properly?
I guess that's the way to describe it.
And she landed on old Blake Monroe as stiff as a goddamn blue vein throbber on 150 milligrams of Viagra. She landed on this girl, whoom, with her entire body weight, and her feet were up in the air. And then when she finally came to some rest on the mat, I can't remember whether she hooked one of Blake's legs or not, but she was hooking because it was supposed to be a false finish. And she hooked it up enough that between the fact that she had just knocked the breath out of Blake Monroe, and then she kind of hooked her, the referees have been told to count it as a shoot, and they counted it. 1, 2, 3. And also again, somebody said that it looked like Blake still tried to struggle to get her shoulder up. It's close enough for rock and roll, but Jesus Christ, how do they keep doing this shit?
And we've just seen a series of things over the last year where the referees had to stop a 3 count because the person didn't kick out. I think was it Nia Jax and Jay? I forget who it was. It was one time in AEW, it was one time in WWE where the referee stopped. Here, the referee didn't stop. You could argue she got her shoulder up. It looked like she tried to do something.
Well, but at the same point, I'm not blaming the referee here. And I'm not blaming the unconscious victim. In this case, I swear to God, I don't care how green you are, you ought to know when you have landed on somebody in altogether too forceful fucking manner. I've done it a time or two, 35 years ago, in all of those crazy 6-man tags and things involving where I try to do something and somebody would boom and oh shit. And it's been done to me a time or two. And I don't know, this could have been avoided instead of sticking exactly to the script or to the plan that they had laid out. If when Thea came off the ropes and landed with all her weight on that fucking girl, hard enough to knock the breath out of her, that instead of just immediately scrambling her up for a fucking cover and a pin, because that was what the spot that was called, she might sit up and gloat for a second, like, "Ooh, I just did that," and turn around and look over her shoulder and see if her opponent's still breathing. And then she might have turned over and just covered her the other fucking way. And she would have had a chance to say, "Are you all right?" And the referee knows what the finish is supposed to be, and that ain't it. So the referee is going to be looking for a kick out. So it wouldn't take much effort for the girl on top to have helped Blake kick her off until she got her breath back. But instead, she didn't even look over her shoulder at that girl. She just landed the fuck on top of her and then hooked her leg up or head up or however she hooked her. And just, she was still looking upwards away from the girl she was covering. So, Brian, have you ever had, it's an old saying, had the breath knocked out of you, but have you ever legitimately, or the wind, have you ever legitimately had that happen to you?
I think so, yeah.
You can't speak.
Right.
There's no way you can speak. You can't really get up. It's not that you're paralyzed, but you don't have the capability until you can rectify that situation and start breathing again to really do much of anything. But you would think that if she'd turned over and covered her, she could tell by the look in her eye or the limpness in her body or whatever the fuck and go, "Oh shit, okay, I'll do a roll up." But that's, to me, that's what I saw. It was just like, Jesus Christ, she didn't care, because they're just so used to potatoing each other. And how many times do I talk about the matches that I do watch from either company? Oh, so-and-so just came off the top and just landed square on so-and-so with their ass or their knees or their full body weight or whatever the fuck. I don't know how there's not more broken ribs, collapsed lungs, hernias. I could go on. I've never seen so many people landed on in 50 years of watching wrestling as I have the last two. But what are they going to do with they changed the policy too, right, Brian? They're making them stay till the end of the show.
Oh, I hadn't heard that. Have they?
I believe that because apparently stuff that creative had to hurry and scurry and, figure out should we reshoot this or change this, or is this going to work now?
Oh, because they were about to do a holiday break, weren't they?
Yes. Yeah. And so they had stuff already done and they had to, I guess, pull shit that wasn't going to work or whatever. But now I guess they're going to have another match, and who knows, they might do a flippity flop, or they might try to swerve everybody and keep it on Thea, whatever the case. But they've also said that all the talent has to stay till the end of the show now. Okay. I think they're mad because they could have reshot something after that happened, but whoever was in it had already left the building. But I don't know when that used to be a Vince thing long ago, 30 years ago anyway, on TV. Everybody stays till the end of the show, and in case you're needed for something. And in the early years, 93, 94, I was at syndicated TVs at 12:30 in the fucking morning. But
what was it like before that? Like when you were with Crockett or Mid-South, what was the rule in terms of when you could leave a show?
Well,
was it just after your match you have the option to leave, or what was it?
No, with Watts, he would every once in a while he would remind everybody that it was highly suggested that they stay and watch all the matches, because if they were in the preliminary matches, that's the way they would learn, see what the main eventers are doing. The main eventers watch the early matches, so you don't do anything that's already been done in a goddamn match in your match. And there were exceptions for major names or people who had travel difficulties or whatever the case, but that was the rule there. With Crockett on the house show, and also with the house shows, the heels always stayed to help the top heels fight their way back through the crowd after the main event in Mid-South. With Crockett, you could leave if you weren't going to be needed or whatever house shows, but there was really, you almost couldn't leave a Crockett TV if you were a top guy before the thing was over with. They taped 2 1-hour shows in live to tape in real time, and we were on both of them. And by the time you change your clothes, the goddamn thing's over with. So I'm just saying, it was always suggested that the underneath guys should stay to watch the main eventers and learn, and the main eventers were there anyway.
And with NXT, the best comparison may be OVW. What was your rule there?
Oh, the same thing. You need to stay and watch what the fuck's going on for the reasons. If you're on first, you need to know what the guys on top are doing, and vice versa. But again, we had to break that because sometimes guys would have to go to their real jobs waiting tables. So this was the early days. But you know what they ought to do, Brian, to prevent the unscheduled title changes, to keep that from happening?
No, what's that?
They ought to put a set of Raycon earbuds in all the guys' and girls' ears when they go out there, and they could tell them every move to make in real time, right as it was happening. Sort of like a wrestling version of Twister. They could just broadcast, okay, lift your left arm, place it over her right shoulder. And that way they could actually lead them through this thing, like leading a horse to water, but then not making them drink. But what's Aubrey Ed have to do with this? What about the Raycons, Brian?
Well, what about them?
You think they could talk to them through the Raycons? Because we already established that those ones that go in your ear, they won't come out even if you're pile drived or drop kicked or hip tossed or body slammed or suplexed or all kinds of stuff, even arm dragged. And now the essential open earbuds are here for the holiday season, where they hook over your ear and you can listen to all the great high quality sound that makes it sound like you're in the studio with Alan Parsons when he's mastering Dark Side of the Moon. But you can also hear the honk of the horn of the oncoming car or train or bus or whatever is about to smite you, because it's the holiday season and these things happen. Brian, you know, every time I get a package from Raycon, Stacy goes crazy because she's got all the kinds of earbuds. As a matter of fact, she figured out a way where she could take 4 pair of earbuds, put them in various places on her body, and have quadraphonic sound.
That's not how that works.
It's amazing.
That would be amazing, but no, that's not how it works.
The kids all over the neighborhood are coming over for the Christmas carols. They really want to see that. But folks, I'll tell you, right now, the essential open earbuds are here for the holiday season. They're selling fast. Raycon audio products are up to 20% off this holiday season. All you got to do is go to buyraycon, BUYRAYCON.com/JCE Open. JCE Open, like open sesame. I open you up to this massive 20% discount. You are completely vulnerable now to saving this money because I have opened you like the petals of a flower. Essential open earbuds, 20% off. Buyraycon.com/JCE Open. Don't get run over by a truck, but still have great sound quality. And with 4 pair, you can be quadraphonic.
Again,
and don't forget the rotating ear hook, which that thing can be fun at parties.
Ladies and gentlemen, why don't we focus on the main thing here at the end of the year, Christmas time, and of course, thinking about all the people we love and all the wonderful gifts we give them and ourselves. I love Raycon earbuds. We have a pair here for me that I've been hiding from my family because they've stolen my previous pairs. Everyone in the house has one. And maybe, just maybe, the referee in NXT was listening to music instead of the instructions from the back, and that's what led to the problem. But these are great earbuds, and we think the listeners will love it, and we have a great deal for them. Professionally, Jim.
Yes, I'll tell you what, here's another thing. It turns your family into thieves because they'll steal your Raycons from you. Well, they did.
There's no
and
promises. No promises.
Stacy's sister stole some of her Raycons from her because she was so fired up to have them. And as you've got to guard these things with your lives, folks. As some people, it's like a Popeye's chicken sandwich. People have lost their lives. But right now, the Essential Open Earbuds, 20% off this holiday season. Go to buyraycon.com/.
Count Dooku is far worse than most Star Wars fans realize, because for decades, the former Jedi Master has been portrayed as a tragic figure, a principled idealist who simply lost his way. For over 2,000 years, the ancient Sith Empire
When you think of military power in Star Trek, the answers usually come fast. The Borg are unstoppable. The Klingons are bloodthirsty. And the Federation, well, they're just a bunch of scientists with phasers strapped to their ships. At least that's the surface story. The truth is, every major empire in Star Trek has a hidden strength. A piece of military potential we don't usually talk about. Strengths that, if fully unleashed, could have rewritten galactic history. So in this essay, we're breaking down Star Trek's empires, not by who the writers let win, but by the real advantages and flaws that define their military. And by the end, you'll see that the most underestimated faction of all might also be the most dangerous. Let's start with the Federation. On paper, Starfleet is the least threatening power in the quadrant. They're explorers first, scientists second, and warriors a distant third. Their ships double as research labs, their captains are trained in diplomacy, and they'll bend over backwards to avoid a fight. At least, that's the myth. But peel back the image, and you find something different. Starfleet is a pacifist war machine. An organization that downplays its true power, while quietly maintaining one of the most advanced militaries in the galaxy. Take ship design. The original Constitution class was billed as an explorer, yet it could fight Klingon and Romulan cruisers on equal footing. The Galaxy class was called a deep space survey vessel, but in reality, it was a mobile dreadnought with enough firepower to level a continent. And when the Dominion showed up, suddenly the Defiant class appeared. A starship that threw away the Explorer pretense and became a pure warship. Even the Enterprise E, a sovereign class, bristled with torpedo launchers. But Starfleet never officially admitted it was a battleship. Because the Federation doesn't call its weapons what they are. They call themselves explorers. Technology is another hidden advantage. Deflector shields adapt faster than most enemy weapons. Torpedoes evolve from photon to quantum, giving Starfleet an unmatched punch. And their sensors? They can win a battle before the enemy even knows they're detected. In Best of Both Worlds, the Enterprise didn't defeat the Borg at Wolf 359, but it did hold the line long enough to save Earth by exploiting that technological edge. That's not luck. That's what happens when you build your fleet like scientists first, and warriors second. And then there's the Federation's real ace, industry. The shipyards at Utopia Planitia, Antares, and beyond are unmatched. With industrial replicators, Starfleet doesn't just make uniforms and rations, they can mass-produce ship components at scale. During the Dominion War, once they finally committed, the Federation pumped out fleets faster than even the Klingons could sustain. In a post-scarcity society, once Starfleet drops the restraint, they can throw nearly unlimited resources at war. But Starfleet isn't just human. It's Vulcans, Andorians, Tellarites, Trill, and dozens of other worlds, all contributing manpower, ships, and technology. That coalition means Starfleet doesn't just have numbers, it has diversity of tactics. Klingons bring brute force. Romulans bring stealth. But the Federation can absorb all of that and combine it into one coordinated machine. And then comes the Federation's most underrated weapon, ideology. Starfleet doesn't just conquer planets, it convinces them. Bajor wasn't won with torpedoes, it was won with trust. The Klingons became allies not because Starfleet beat them, but because Starfleet earned their respect. Even the Romulans, paranoid to their core, stood with the Federation against the Dominion. That's the hidden strength. Not phasers, not photon torpedoes, but the ability to expand by offering a better future. Of course, their weakness is just as clear. Starfleet doesn't want to fight. Every war is a moral crisis. That hesitation, the belief that diplomacy might still work, cost them dearly against the Dominion, and almost against the Borg. Starfleet is a war machine wrapped in idealism, and sometimes those ideals leave them bleeding. If Starfleet is the empire that underestimates its own power, the Klingons are the opposite, the empire that overestimates theirs. If Starfleet hides its true power, then the Klingons are the opposite. They shout it from the rooftops. To them, war is not just politics by other means. It's the ultimate expression of life itself. Glory in battle, death with honor, the songs of warriors sung for centuries. It all sounds impressive, but the Klingon Empire's military strength isn't just in its bravado, it's in the way that bravado translates into raw, terrifying numbers. The Klingon fleet is massive. Bird of Preys alone number in the thousands, ranging from tiny raiders to larger battle cruisers. They may not all be cutting edge, but when you're willing to throw waves of ships at an enemy, quality sometimes matters less than quantity. Klingons fight without fear of death, which makes them unpredictable and brutally hard to break. For most enemies, retreat is an option. For Klingons, retreat is shame, and shame is worse than death. And yes, the Klingons have cloaking technology. They got it from the Romulans during a short-lived alliance in the 23rd century and became standard on their bird of preys. But unlike the Romulans, Klingons never cloaked to disappear. They cloaked to make an ambush scarier. A Romulan cloaks for subtlety. A Klingon cloaks to get right in your face before the shooting starts. It's not about hiding, it's about striking fear. That fear is a weapon in itself. Imagine being a Starfleet crewman, trained for diplomacy, facing down a Klingon squad that's laughing as they charge you. Klingons use terror and intimidation as strategy. Even their warships are designed to project menace. Birds of prey swooping out of cloak, Vorcha battlecruisers looming overhead, Negvar flagships bristling with weapons. A Klingon attack isn't just an attack. It's a declaration that you're the prey, and they're the hunters. And while the stereotype paints Klingons as reckless, they can adapt when pushed. During the Dominion War, they shifted tactics to raid supply lines, destroy Ketracel White depots, and even hit Dominion ships deep in Cardassian space. For all the chaos of their politics, Klingons know how to unify in war, and when they do, their fleets are genuinely dangerous. This is the untold strength of the Klingon military: resilience. They can take staggering losses and keep fighting. They can lose fleets, lose worlds, even lose their chancellor, and still rally, because war isn't a means to an end for them. It is the end. Other empires fight to survive. The Klingons fight because fighting is survival. But resilience doesn't solve everything. The High Council is riddled with corruption. Houses plot against each other, and loyalty shifts with the political winds. Long-term strategy is nearly impossible. In peacetime, the Empire stagnates. In wartime, it burns bright, but it also burns itself out. The Dominion didn't defeat the Klingons, but if the war had lasted longer, the Empire might have defeated itself. And where the Klingons wear their power on their sleeve, the Romulans do the opposite. Their real strength lies in what you never see coming. If the Klingons are blunt force trauma, then the Romulans are a knife in the dark. They don't charge in head first. They wait, they study, and they strike when you least expect it. The Romulan Star Empire's strength has never been about raw matters. It's about secrecy, deception, and the fear of what you don't know. Yes, the Klingons cloak too, but the philosophies couldn't be more different. A Klingon cloaks to ambush, as I've stated, to let you see a blaze of disruptor fire. A Romulan cloaks to rewrite the entire battlefield. Whole fleets vanish, infiltrators slip across borders, and wars can be won without firing a shot. Cloaking isn't just a tool for them, it's an identity. In Balance of Terror, one cloaked Romulan ship nearly destabilized the entire neutral zone. Starfleet was almost helpless. Now imagine that multiplied by an entire fleet of warbirds, and you really can begin to see the nightmare. And these aren't just small ships. The Romulan D'Deridex-class warbird is enormous, larger than a Galaxy class, armed with disruptors and plasma torpedoes that can tear through Federation shields. They may lack Starfleet's numbers or the Klingons' fearless charges, but a single warbird can change the balance of a battlefield. Their true, untold strength isn't the cloak or the ships, it's the Tal Shiar. Romulan intelligence makes the Obsidian Order look like amateurs. They destabilize governments, assassinate leaders, and spread paranoia across entire sectors. Why conquer a planet when you can just hollow it out from within? Even Data's Day showed how one Romulan operative nearly derailed Federation Vulcan diplomacy. The Tal Shiar doesn't just gather secrets, they turn secrets into weapons. And then there's paranoia. To outsiders, it looks like weakness. But inside the Empire, it's survival. Romulans assume everyone is lying, everyone is plotting, and everyone is a traitor. That makes them slow to trust, but very hard to trick. When the Dominion infiltrated the Alpha Quadrant, the Romulans were one of the few powers who treated everything with suspicion. And that suspicion probably saved them from even worse infiltration. But secrecy comes at a cost. Fleets are underused because no one shares information. Alliances crumble because Romulans can't stop second-guessing their partners. Even during the Dominion War, they had to be tricked into joining the fight. Unlike the Federation, they don't build coalitions. They build walls. And no matter how strong these walls are, walls alone don't win wars. If the Romulans are shadows and whispers, then the Dominion is something else entirely. Not hidden, not subtle, but a war machine crafted from the ground up to conquer, rule, and never stop expanding. If the Romulans fight with shadows, then the Dominion fights with inevitability. The Dominion wasn't built for diplomacy. It wasn't built for exploration. It was engineered from the ground up as a war machine. Every element of its society exists to serve conquest. And that's not me making a metaphor. That's literal. The Jem'Hadar are the most obvious symbol of this design. Bred for war, born fully grown, and genetically programmed for loyalty. They're the nightmare version of Starfleet officers. No training academies, no ethics classes, just soldiers rolling off the assembly line, ready to kill. Every Jem'Hadar is faster, stronger, and more ruthless than most enemies they'll ever face. And if they die, the Founders simply grow more. That's the Dominion's untold strength. Mass production at scale. It is something the Alpha Quadrant had never seen. While Starfleet debates the morality of war, and Klingons sing of honor, the Dominion simply manufacture more troops. Shipyards churn out attack ships by the hundreds. Cloning facilities replace entire armies in days. Attrition doesn't scare them. Attrition is their strategy. And then there are the Founders themselves. Shapeshifters who can infiltrate governments, militaries, even families. Before the Dominion ever fired a shot, they had already destabilized the Alpha Quadrant. Remember Admiral Layton's coup in Homefront and Paradise Lost? That was fueled by changeling paranoia. Even the mighty Klingon Empire was tricked into war with the Federation because of one Founder disguised as Martok. The Dominion doesn't just win wars with fleets. They win them before the shooting starts. The Vorta, meanwhile, act as a perfect middle management. Cloned administrators, bred for obedience, designed to run the war machine smoothly. They ensure the Jem'Hadar fight efficiently. The fleets operate on schedule, and the Founder's will is executed without question. If the Jem'Hadar are the muscle, the Vorta are the nervous system. This is the Dominion's true advantage: absolute control. Where other empires juggle politics, rebellions, or ethics, the Dominion eliminates choice. The Jem'Hadar obey because they're programmed to. The Vorta obey because they're programmed to. The Founders obey only themselves. It's a perfectly closed system. No dissent, no hesitation, no mercy. In a galaxy full of fractured empires, the Dominion is terrifying because it is united in purpose. But absolute control comes with a cost. The Jem'Hadar rely entirely on Ketracel White. Cut the supply, and they collapse. The Vorta, for all their obedience, lack initiative. When they go off script, they're often helpless. And the Founders themselves, their obsession with control makes them paranoid, inflexible, and deeply vulnerable when plans unravel. The Dominion can build the perfect army, but the entire system rests on fragile chains. Break one, and the rest begins to crumble. If the Dominion is a war machine crafted by gods, then the Borg are something even worse. A war machine that builds itself. The Borg don't just fight wars. They absorb them. Every battle, every encounter, every enemy technology becomes fuel for the collective. And that's what makes them so terrifying. Where other empires reach a limit, the Borg never stop growing. The Borg's most obvious weapon is assimilation. A single drone can overrun a ship, convert its crew, and add their knowledge to the hive mind. A single cube can wipe out fleets. then recycle the debris into new technology. It's not just conquest, it's exponential growth. The more you resist, the more you feed them. Against the Borg, every battle you lose makes them stronger, and every battle you win only delays the inevitable. But their untold strength isn't just assimilation. It's the speed of adaptation. Phasers that worked 1 minute are useless the next. Shields reconfigure mid-battle. Even entire governments, like the Federation, Klingons, and Romulans, have spent decades trying to find one silver bullet that works against the collective. And every time, the Borg adapts. And unlike the Dominion, the Borg don't need supply chains or shipyards. A cube can self-repair, self-replicate, and self-upgrade. When the Federation builds fleets, and the Klingons rally warriors, Borg just keep assimilating until an armada literally builds itself out of the wreckage of the last battlefield. The Borg don't rely on tactics the way other powers do. They don't need to. They advance in perfect synchronization, overwhelming enemies through sheer inevitability. A single cube is a fleet unto itself. A single sphere can cripple planets. And if the Borg ever deployed an entire armada, the result would be catastrophic. The real strength of the Borg isn't just their ships or their technology, it's the hive mind. A Federation captain can panic. A Klingon general can hesitate. A Romulan senator can scheme. But the Borg don't argue. They don't hesitate. They don't need morale. The collective acts as one, and that makes them nearly impossible to outmaneuver. And yet, for all their power, the Borg have one fatal flaw: centralization. Take out the Queen, and the collective stumbles. Destroy a unicomplex, and you wound them deeply. For all their adaptability, the Borg are often slower to react in full-scale wars than most people assume. Because adapting across an entire collective takes time. And while they've crushed fleets before, they also suffered surprising defeats when their arrogance blinds them to the creativity of their enemies. The Borg are the nightmare version of inevitability. But not every empire in Star Trek is a galactic superpower. Some of the most overlooked factions, Cardassians, Ferengi, Breen, even Tholians, hide strengths that are just as untold and just as dangerous. When people talk about the great powers of Star Trek, it's usually the big four: Federation, Klingons, Romulans, and the Borg. Sometimes the Dominion gets added to that list, but the galaxy is full of other empires, smaller, stranger, often overlooked, that have their own hidden military strengths. And sometimes, those strengths are exactly what make them dangerous. Take the Cardassians. On paper, they're weaker than the Federation or Klingons. I've always stated that they're a regional power. But the real strength is endurance. Cardassian fleets are designed for attrition warfare. Cheaper, easier to maintain, and backed by brutal efficiency. Their military doctrine isn't about flashy victories. It's about grinding you down, slowly bleeding you until you collapse. And let's not forget the Obsidian Order, their intelligence service, which rivaled even the Tal Shiar before its destruction. The Cardassians don't win wars quickly, they win them by making you suffer longer than they do. Everyone jokes about the lobes and profit, but underestimated here is how effective economics can be as a weapon. Ferengi fleets aren't impressive, but they don't need to be. The Ferengi sell weapons to both sides, manipulate supply chains, and exploit markets. During a long war, a Ferengi arms dealer can do more damage than an entire fleet, because every torpedo your enemy fires might have been sold to them by a Ferengi. In a galaxy where resources decide wars, the Ferengi don't just survive. They get rich doing it. The Breen, meanwhile, are one of the strangest cases. Nobody really understands their physiology, and nobody trusts their motives. But when they finally committed to war, siding with the Dominion, they brought something terrifying to the table. energy-dampening weapons that disabled entire Federation and Klingon fleets in a single shot. And the Romulans didn't fare much better. Untold strength for them is innovation. The Breen may not have the size of the Klingons or the tech base of the Romulans, but their unpredictability makes them a wild card no one can afford to ignore. Then we have the Tholians, mysterious, xenophobic, and so secretive we barely understand their society. But what we do know is enough to make any captain nervous. Their crystalline ships are designed for perfect coordination, and their web technology can immobilize vessels far larger than their own. The Tholians rarely expand, but within their borders, they're nearly unassailable. Their untold strength is their obsessive territorial defense. They don't need to conquer the galaxy, because in their space, they already win. Even minor factions have their edge. The Gorn, brutal and physically resilient, not unlike the Jem'Hadar. The Orion Syndicate, masters of subterfuge and corruption, destabilizing enemies from within. The Xindi, fractured but capable of terrifying doomsday weapons. None of these powers can dominate the galaxy on their own, but in the right conditions, their unique advantages can change the balance of power. That's the untold truth about these so-called lesser empires. Their strength doesn't lie in winning outright. It lies in forcing bigger powers to adapt, to bleed, or to look over their shoulder. A Dominion fleet is terrifying, but it got even scarier once the Breen showed up with energy dampeners. The Federation can mass-produce ships, but the Ferengi, interestingly enough, can counter them or force them to bleed even though they use capitalism. And the Cardassians, they remind everyone that even if you win the battle, you might still lose the war of attrition. So now we've seen the hidden strengths of the major and minor powers. But what happens if all of them went to war at once? Who rises, who falls, and who would truly stand at the end? So we've seen the hidden strengths of each empire. Starfleet's industry, Klingon resilience, Romulan shadows, Dominion control, Borg inevitability, and the wild cards of the smaller powers. But what happens if all of them went to war at once? Who rises, who falls, and who would truly stand at the end? This is not going to be an in-depth discussion or dissection of that war. Maybe I'll do that later. Let me know in the comments if you're interested. But let's talk about it in general terms. The first to collapse would likely be the minor players. The Ferengi wouldn't commit in battle, they'd sell weapons to both sides, and hope to stay out of the line of fire. The Cardassians, brutal but fragile, would be overwhelmed without a stronger ally. The Breen and Tholians could stall regional incursions with their unique weapons, but against empires like the Borg or the Dominion, they'd eventually be crushed. These factions change the tempo of the war, but they don't win it. The Klingons would be next. Their sheer numbers and fearlessness would buy them time, but their infighting and reckless tactics would bleed them dry. Against the Borg or Dominion, bravery becomes suicide. Against the Romulans, cloaked ambushes turn into traps. The Klingon Empire burns bright, but in a war this big, it would burn itself out. The Romulans would hold longer. Cloaked fleets, Tal Shiar infiltration, and plasma torpedoes give them an edge in asymmetric warfare. They destabilize their enemies, assassinate leaders, and spread chaos, but secrecy and paranoia are double-edged swords. The Romulan Star Empire rarely trusts its allies, and in a galaxy-wide war, isolationism is a death sentence. Eventually, they'd run out of friends and find themselves cornered. The Dominion would thrive in the opening phase. Endless Jem'Hadar, Vorta command structure, and founders infiltrating Alpha Quadrant powers. It's a nightmare scenario. Entire fleets could collapse before they realize they've been compromised. But the Dominion's strength is also its weakness. Cut the White supply lines, or target their centralized leadership, and the whole machine breaks down. In a long war, the Dominion can't sustain forever. And that leaves the Borg. They don't need alliances. They don't need resources. Every battle makes them stronger. A single cube can devastate a fleet. and an armada of cubes is almost unbeatable. Left unchecked, the Borg would assimilate their way to dominance. The only thing that's ever stopped them has been unity. Multiple powers banding together, finding creative loopholes the Borg never considered. Without that, the collective wins every time. Which brings us to Starfleet and the Federation. On its own, the Federation can't outfight the Klingons, can't outcloak the Romulans, can't outproduce the Dominion, and can't out-adapt the Borg. But the Federation has one untold strength that no other empire can match: coalition building. The Federation's ideals makes it the only power that consistently pulls others into its orbit. It doesn't just fight with phasers and torpedoes, it fights with alliances, treaties, and trust. And history has shown this again and again. The Klingons and Romulans joining against the Dominion, the Bajorans aligning with the Federation, even the Cardassians eventually rebelling. If all-out war ever consumed the galaxy, the Federation wouldn't win because it's the strongest. It would win because it convinces others to fight with it. So in a total galactic war, the Borg stand as the greatest individual threat. But the only true counter is unity. The Federation's ideology, its very reluctance to wage war, is the one thing that might save the galaxy from being consumed. Not because Starfleet is perfect, but because it's the only faction that turns enemies into allies. And that's the untold truth. In a war of empires, the Federation's greatest weapon isn't its fleet, it's hope. So what does all this mean for Star Trek's vision of power? That's where we'll end, because the true strength of these empires isn't just in ships and soldiers, but in the values they represent. When we look at Star Trek's empires through the lens of war, it's easy to focus on the weapons, the ships, the armies, and the strategies. And yes, each empire hides a kind of untold strength. Starfleet's industry, Klingon resilience, Romulan shadows, Dominion control, Borg inevitability, even the Breen's unpredictable innovations. But the truth is, Star Trek has never been about who could win in an all-out war. It's about what those strengths say about each culture. The Klingons remind us that passion can be both a strength and a weakness. The Romulans show us how secrecy can protect and destroy you. The Dominion proves the dangers of control without freedom. And the Borg, they embody the terror of a future where individuality is lost. The Federation's strength, hidden in plain sight, is that it's the only empire that fights not for conquest, but for unity. And in a galaxy defined by endless wars, that might be the most powerful weapon of all. Because in the end, the untold military strength of Star Trek's empires isn't in their fleets. It's in the ideas they're willing or unwilling to fight for. Or unwilling to fight for.
To them, because thanks to them, I have my green card.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. Thanks to them, I learned to wrestle.
What does that mean?
That they helped me with my wrestling training to flatbacks. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
I believe there was they went through transitional stages where I think in their office, certain people, were perhaps, I think, released from the company. They went through some big changes. A lot of people were in, a lot of people were out, that kind of thing. And I guess just fate didn't lead me in that direction. And I, in the interim of not knowing what was going on, had an opportunity to be at AEW Dark. And then I had another opportunity there. And then I was offered, the contract with AEW. And after, being in this country for so long and knowing that I want to be a professional wrestler and this door opened for me, I went to AEW, and I'm so glad I did, because I feel like it's where I was meant to be. Definitely no dirty, greasy story there or anything.
No.
But they definitely helped me with my wrestling journey. I just AEW snatched me out.
So this was a pre-taped holiday episode of Raw.
And I actually really enjoyed this episode.
Even though we all kind of knew the spoilers like a week ago, there were actually some very interesting developments, so I thought, why not let it fly? Austin Theory says he wanted everyone to feel his actions before they saw his face.
But then I saw the vision. You didn't wait for anything. You took. And that's me now. I take.
He says he made some bad decisions, he got comfortable, and then he got injured. Heyman says, really? And Theory says, really? Austin says he knows the Vision has a match tonight and he wants to help out. Heyman again says, really? Interesting. Very interesting. I personally love the new look and cadence of Austin Theory.
Man, I'm really investing some chips into his redemption tour. But I can see it. I can feel it. He's cooking.
He's cooking. We then see Io Sky and Rhea Ripley, where Rhea says, look after yourself as she goes to handle Asuka.
For Riptide to put Asuka away. Asuka avoids it again. Wow, great counter. Is it enough to put Rhea away? And a kick out at 2.
The chemistry between these two women continues to be sky high.
To break here, back on her feet. Can she make it there? No, Asuka turns it in to a release German suplex.
Of course, they have history from WrestleMania a number of years ago.
Down goes Asuka. Ripley into the cover. And a kick out at 2.
We saw multiple in this match, but as always, shout out to the German suplex.
For now, German suplex position. Oh, goodbye. Landing head. The back of her head on the apron.
After a big senton by Rhea, Io comes running down, not medically cleared with the kinesil tape applied. Kairi gets taken out, but she'd get Io back.
Vision. And Kairi from behind, dropping Io right on her back, the injured back.
Rhea checks on Io, giving enough time for an Asuka roll-up off the concern.
Checking on her friend, and from behind, Asuka rolls up Ripley for the win. Have the tights as well.
Do you guys remember a while ago when I was talking about how Raw has not opened with a match in years? This is the closest we've got in forever. Now, technically the show's still open with a backstage segment between Theory and Heyman, but I'm grasping at straws here, man. This technically almost breaks the long-standing record. Also, the Slammy Award for Hater of the Year goes to me. Actually, no, you'd be right, because the most mundane, boring, lifeless commentator of all time, Joe Tess, was not on this episode of Raw. Can I get a hallelujah? I cannot express to you how delighted I was to see Maggle Cole. We then cut to the Vision where Heyman talks about Theory. He says, with all due respect, Bronson, who were you 18 months ago? Look at you now, you're beating Roman Reigns in Australia on a PLE. He also says, were you calling shots 18 months ago, Braun Breaker?
Someone had a vision for the two of you, and that someone was Paul Heyman, and I don't pimp that out easily. I'm selective.
He says he has a vision for Austin Theory, so tonight it's Bronson Reed and Austin Theory against CM Punk and Rey Mysterio.
And either Austin Theory carries out our vision, or the two of you make sure that they carry Austin Theory's ass out of WWE.
Breaker quietly says, you don't have to do that, but I got your back out there, not Theories. I must say, quietly, slowly, just a little bit.
I'm enjoying the direction of the Vision right now.
It was repetitive as all hell months ago, but lately, this Theory stuff intrigues me. And I'll say it, I don't hate Logan Paul's involvement in this group either. But now it is time for a Christmas edition of Crowd Watch. As Becky Lynch makes her entrance, we see cheaters never prosper except Eddie Guerrero. As the late great legend said, if you're not cheating, you're not trying.
There was illegal interference. Therefore, vis-a-vis the following, I am the real Intercontinental Champion, okay?
Becky Lynch on her historic goated Twitter run lately continues to complain about the corruption. She continues to slander Grand Rapids and says she's here to take matters into her own hands because she's the greatest female wrestler of all time, and it's not just her saying it. Then Maxine Dupree comes out, and by the way, real quick, fit check. Holy fire. She says, yeah, I'm a rookie and Sports Illustrated was right. You are goated, but
let's not forget that this rookie beat the greatest of all time.
Maxine says she beat her 3 times, but you can have another shot whenever you want.
I will train until my blood, sweat, and tears are on this mat because now not Intercontinental Champion. I am your Intercontinental Champion!
Oh yes, man. 2025 Maxine Dupree going into 26. Oh my.
Please just take it on the chin like the man you say you are. But you won't, will you?
Did I switch it over to Cinemax?
Maxine says in those moments where you complain about everything,
You look like someone who's afraid her best years are behind her.
Oh! Sucker punch by Becky
a
Lynch.
huge sucker punch by Becky as this feud continues to be one of the best things going in today's wrestling. Yo, WWE Games, there has never been a better time to bring back Road to WrestleMania. Like a Becky Lynch Road to WrestleMania playing as all her different entertaining personas and characters and like personality traits. Oh my. As she fights against Petty Pierce and the rest of the anti-Becky troop, please make it happen.
And Maxine looking for an ankle lock on Becky. Ankle lock on Lynch. Maxine's got it locked in.
And then this next part, I believe it was actually generated by Gemini, actually.
It may look like Becky is tapping out, but I believe she was just trying to kill a fly.
Trying to prove to Becky and the world that this is no fluke. That Maxine herself is a worthy Intercontinental Champion.
Becky did not tap, okay? She did not tap. Do you hear me?
But transitioning to Javon Evans looking festive, Pierce says good luck tonight against Americano, and when you're done, let's talk about your future. They said during the intro that Javon Evans will be a free agent soon, so Pierce is trying to sign him. And long story short, Javon Evans will now be a part of Monday Night Raw. But also, it is crazy considering the amount of NXT call-ups that just haven't happened yet. Like Tony D'Angelo's probably looking at this like, hello?
And don't even get me started on Dante Chen.
And I know local annoyance Nikita Lyons is probably like, where's my call-up?
Just start an OnlyFans, bro. You're cool.
Then Stephanie Vaquer shows up and Pierce says, how can I resolve this stuff between you, Bella, and Rodriguez? Vaquer says, you can't, jabroni. I want them both.
Well, I gotta say I love a fighting champion. How about next week? Since you want it, Stephanie Vaquer defend that Women's World Championship against Nikki Bella and Raquel Rodriguez on Monday Night Raw.
Mind you, he didn't say it's official, so how will I know it's official?
The Usos then have a pretty great vignette before their World Tag Team title match next week.
Hell, not even a 10 time. The greatest tag team of all time. 4 letters, 1 word. Uso.
We would then see... This is getting depressing now. Please free Peter Dune.
And now Javon Evans gonna fly!
Javon Evans took on Rayo Americano in what was a pretty solid match, to be fair.
WWE fans gonna get bouncy! Springboard!
Of course, Bravo would pay dividends momentarily.
Look at on the other side. Bravo with a double team. The official dealing with El Grande and Rayo Bravo took advantage.
Rayo would then hit a disrespectful slap which fires up Evans.
Oh, goodness. But and slap to Evans who ends. Javon up. Oh, step up in Zaguri. Evans is down and another kick to the face.
In watching this, I guess I should just be happy Peter Dune and Tyler Bate are doing something again, but like, man, sorry to be that guy, but there has never been a clearer pathway of released, free agent window expires, and what do you know, Pete Dunne is debuting at All in Wembley 2026.
Got caught. Moonsault lands on his feet. Evans down top rope. Oh, gee, cutter.
Overall, fun match. I mean, I'm happy to see Javon being pushed because Lord knows he's talented. After this one, the Americanos try and attack Javon, but he creatively gets out of there. We then hear from the tag champs where Kathy wonders how they'll deal with the Usos, who are considered the best ever. AJ and Dragon clap back by saying, well, we've beaten all those other teams who are apparently the best, so they say it's gonna be a classic, but...
And we're gonna do what we always do, bring fire.
We're better than the best, and that's exactly what they're gonna get next week.
We then hear from Braun Breaker.
I'm gonna do you a solid. I'm gonna stroke your here for a second. We're gonna make this all about you.
What the... Are we sure this isn't Cinemax?
I am the mountain you cannot climb. I am the dog that you cannot outrun.
Breaker mocks Punk, saying he was only here to make money, and once again asks for the old CM Punk.
I hope you saved all your money and cashed all your checks. Because after the match is over, on January 5th, you won't be worth $1 to anyone.
He's only gonna done it again. Holy promo. I am so pumped for that match. Breaker is cooking. We would then see... It's pop, not soda. You know what? Solid political statement there.
When I was growing up, I actually did call it pop, so...
But nowadays, I opt for calling it a partially gelatinated, non-dairy, gum-based beverage.
I am Nikki Bella, okay? I am a legend. I am a Hall of Famer. And I am a former champion.
Nikki Bella rants and says this is what a champion looks like. She says, how would you guys know what champions look like? You root for the Lions. She says they wish they were better than the Eagles, or better yet, Ohio State. Nikki says last week she destroyed Raquel's face, and now she's gonna destroy Stephanie's reign. Steph may be a big deal in the ring, but I'm a big deal everywhere. It's about time that belt was around the waist of a true global star.
And that is me, the legend, the one and only, and don't forget it, Nikki Bella.
My Total Divas goat cooking on gas. Maybe this great sport still has one last run. But we then transition to Roxanne versus Bailey, where Maggle fumbled in front of the bad bitch.
Liv missed you, Liv. He missed you really bad. He was just telling me. Well, I just got... fantastic, by the way. How have you been?
That would never happen to me. I would never fumble in... We'd see more tension between Judgment Day, where Liv pulls Raquel off the apron while Roxanne had the pin.
This match won. Raquel Rodriguez, though, and now getting into it with Liv Morgan.
We then see that unique motivation from Lyra again.
Oh! What the?
It would work wonders, though, as Bailey picks up the win over Roxanne.
And Bailey delivers the elbow to Roxanne Perez. The cover.
I absolutely love Bailey and Lyra, man. This dynamic is so entertaining. Then, folks, the results are in. The lie detector results show that Austin Theory...
First of all, I'm not your kid.
Damn, bitch, what the... Oh my god, I'm out in A-Town. Down.
I'll start the match, and you can follow my lead.
We then see even more tension as the Judgment Day is collapsing.
Well, me and Liv had everything handled until Raquel decided to come out. What was that? Hey, I was just trying to help. You know, something you guys should have done last week when Nikki interrupted my match?
Liv tries to smooth things over by saying she was just trying to help because we're a family. Now let's get back on the same page. Raquel says, I don't need this right now. I've got a title match to be preparing for. Good luck. Meanwhile, Gunther is still soaking in the fact he retired John Cena.
You really shouldn't be mad at me, but you should be mad at the guy that tapped out like a little...
This is such an effective run of continuing his immense heat. I love it. He's then interrupted by CM Punk, who stares down Gunther. This crowd was so loud and absolutely terrific here, by the way. We then see the Avengers assembling because he not only stares down Punk, Stereo stares him down, and then so does AJ Styles backstage.
You just don't know when to shut up, do you? Guess I don't.
The absolute scenes when this is foreshadowing that he's going to retire all of them. In the main event, Austin Theory debuted his full new look, by the way, which is very post-draft 2016 Braun Strowman coded.
A stomp by Theory! A cover on Ray! And a win by the Vision!
Theory and the Vision pick up the win as Punk instantly jumps in to save Ray from further season's beating. As Breakker comes down to brawl with Punk, Theory diverts his attention for just enough time.
Look out, Punk! Spear! And if Braun Breaker hits that 2 weeks from tonight, the Braun Breaker era will be here.
Overall, a really good episode of Raw, to say it was a holiday episode and a pre-tape. I'll be reading your latest hot takes tomorrow, so keep an eye out for that. Be sure to subscribe and tell a friend, Merry Christmas, you filthy animal, and a Happy New Year. Bye!
you can't take down his streams, so you take Bobby voice and Hogan trying to $3 billion in debt. Nah, that's a fact, bro. That's a fact, man. I never seen. Well, we seen burials like this, but man, just to build something up. Not even on. It's not like we were super duper excited, 10 out of 10, but to still build something up. Austin Theory spent all these months hurt. He came back, no music, somebody else finisher. It's like they're booking this on the fly. Key Hood, what's up, bro? Why is Austin using Seth move? Oh, we're trying to figure this out. My man Wolf. Wolf, what's up, bro? Theory might be a mole from Seth and team with Seth against Breaker and Reed. Damn. Yo, Wolf, you know the only problem I have with that, bro? The only problem I have with that, Wolf, is that you think that's actually too good of booking from WWE standards. That actually would be okay. Okay, all right, now we see why he had the curve. At least that would make 0 sense. But you know, Wolf, we both know that, man, unfortunately, bro, they are gonna have no explanation why he's doing another man curb stomp. They're not even gonna act like, at least the next week he could be like, yo, bro, what's up with my theme song? What's up with this? They're gonna act like they literally don't have nothing for Austin Theory. They're booking it on the fly. See, the thing with, that's the long-term booking they used to be doing. There's no more long-term booking now. It's just long-term booking. Y'all know when you're taking a shit, it's just long-term booking. You know when you eat that bad food and you sit on a toilet for a good 20, 30 minutes, like you're to pop on Friday. Oh, it's gonna take about 35, 45 minutes. Long-term booking. Got the nerve to say happy holidays. Man, this is sad, man. CEO Jordan, it's a good idea if it happened, but it won't. Unfortunately, man, Rando back. The only reason I watch WWE because of you, Bobby. This company sucks so bad, I feel ashamed. Long-term fan. Good looking, bro. Yeah, it's like, I don't understand it, bro. They book it on the fly. Monday Night Slaw is like melatonin. Melatonin. Nah, I feel you, sir. Smoke a lot, dog. It's like, at least he won the match, right? At least he won. At least it was no ads. At least it was no nothing, man. It's just, God, my God, bro. This WWE has completely lost the plot. It's nothing new. But man, literally nothing happened on Raw, bro. Absolutely nothing, man. There is something that kind of pissed me off, bro. And we're gonna get to Raw. We're gonna get to Raw and everything that happened. But let me see if I can find this, bro. I seen something, man. Y'all know. I don't care, bro. Hold on, nah. Hold on, my bad. Let me try to find it. Hold on. Let me see. You must have been pre-recorded like last year. W early stream. That's what I'm doing. Yo, man. When I show you, all right, here it go. It's like, yo, good looking for whoever this is that sent me this. Can you believe this, bro? The Street Profits. Multiple people over the weekend have indicated that the Street Profits will leave WWE in early 26 when their contract expires. There is no excuse. There is no explanation of the stupidity of letting Dawkins and especially Montez Ford walk out that front door. All for them to just go to AEW and, yo, I promise you, with Montez Ford, I just hope Tony Khan lets Montez Ford go solo. If this happens, I guarantee we're going to see the same thing happen with Swerve Strickland when he left NXT, then went to AEW. We're going to see the same thing with Montez Ford when he leaves WWE. I mean, when he leaves this circus act, go to AEW, and oh my God. We're going to see the level of mistake Paul Levesque made. Dog, did y'all see that? Yeah, did y'all see this? Oh, what's up, yo? All right, Jad Breaker. All right, bet. Shout out to Jad Breaker 101. He sent me that on Twitter. Yeah, dog. Like, I'm like, it's bittersweet though. I want to get so pissed off. Like, what? I want to get so mad, right? But if they stay in WWE, I'm getting so mad for what? They're gonna keep losing to the Wyatt shit. They're gonna keep getting storylines like they're gonna break up, then get put on the shelf to collect dust. At least in AEW they could get booked well. The only thing I'm scared of is if they don't go to AEW, it's like, oh my God. Do you know how much of a travesty it is for Montez Ford to be on the indies? Now, I'm pretty sure he'll do good work. He'll get over it. He'll get good money. Maybe he can even be as big as Matt Cardona in the indies. I'm not saying that that's like the worst thing ever. But for me, it would just be a travesty because it's like, dog, he's right there. He's already a star. He's already right there. Why does he have to take a few steps back? It's just like, come on, bro. Montez and Bianca should dip. Yo, facts, bro. Bianca might as well dip too. Like, for what? Stay for what? We haven't seen Bianca since WrestleMania. But that's actually a legitimate reason because of her finger. But man, dog, oh my, this one kind of hurt. I like to imagine Montez feuding with Logan, Jacob Knight, at least in the mid-card. They better not do him like Andrade either. Yeah, man, like... That's another thing, says Smoke a lot. If they do them like Andrade, that's going to be 1 year. We're talking about 1 year in wrestling is like, it could mean a death sentence to a lot of wrestlers. Even if you're in content creating, no matter what you do in wrestling, 1 year is a death sentence. If you miss 1 week, why you think even me as a content creator, I try to show up as much as I can, literally as much as I can. I know the detriment of missing one thing because everything moves so fast. Think about it. John Cena. Just like what John Cena said, by the time 2026 come out, become an afterthought. He's going to slowly become an afterthought. We're only even probably talking about John Cena still here and there just because he did the interview. You know, you got Cody crying all over the place. But he will slowly just become like, oh, yeah, John Cena. And we'll be talking about whatever new crap going on. These non-compete clauses are killing wrestler careers, dog. It's sad, man. This is, oh my God. Oh my God, dog. Yo, like I always say, it'd be one thing if he didn't have it, you know what I mean? Or it'd be one thing if he wasn't, dog, this dude was booking himself. Hold on, man. Montez Ford. Let me see. Montez Ford was literally booking himself on Instagram, on social media. He wasn't even waiting for anybody to. You didn't even have to think. You didn't have to do nothing, but just put him on TV. Let him work. Like, what was this? How do you not do nothing with this? It's just like, yo, this dude is a star, bro. You can't think of nothing. This dude could have been like the Black $1 Million Man. Oh my God, bro. You couldn't think of nothing. We hurt people. Oh, man. Yo, bro, on some real Tank. Yo, Scooter, what's up, bro? Yo, Tank. Yo, that'll be fire, bro, but I don't even want to see that. You know why? We need to see Montez Ford on his own. just on his own. Just give him one shot on his own. Let him make one mistake, just one on his own. Yeah, we could put him with, you mean to tell me we're going to put him with Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin? Now you're going to be third in line? Bobby Lashley needs to be getting in the main event spot. I heard he was hurt. Shelton Benjamin, you can make a case for him getting in the main event spot, even though he's a little bit on the older side. I want to see Montez Ford on his own. Or with the Don Callis family. Yo, imagine Montez Ford and the Don Callis family, bro. You know, it's oversaturated over here, but still, bro, I feel like he can have his own section, man. Damn, bro. The Prophets can visit TNA and fight the Hardys. Damn, yo, Aaron. Damn, I ain't gonna like that, man. Like, I just feel like they're so much bigger than the TNA, dog. They got so much more potential than the TNA, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's sad that we haven't even gotten a chance. I can see if he messed up. I can see if he botched. I can see if his promos wasn't there. He haven't even gotten a chance, dog. Like, this is crazy, bro. Oh my God, Hill, Bianca, and AEW versus, yo, that would be crazy. Hill, Bianca will be crazy, dog. Oh, my man Gregory in the building. What's up, bro? What's up, bro? Jay Guz. Dawkins could be a good heel on his own. He's big. Yeah, I feel like Dawkins could do his thing too. Dawkins could do his thing. It's just, I honestly don't want to see both. I want to see both of them kind of split up, man. But we'll see what's gonna happen, man. Like, damn, man. Yeah, dog, it's looking bad for the Street Profits, man. It's definitely looking bad. Maybe I shouldn't have said it was my favorite team, dog. I feel like, man, maybe I don't know, maybe I jinxed the homies, man. Let me see what else happened. This show on this Raw show is completely trash, dog. Like, literally, man. Let me see. Man, like, man, the AEW and WWE roster, man. I don't even know, man. Yo, y'all, look at this bump that Tiffany Stratton took. She uploaded this on Twitter. This is why it's good to be practicing, dog. Cause imagine if this was live, dog. Look at this.
The night before a big match.
Dog, that would have been so bad for Tiffany Stratton. Like, my God, dog. Oh my God, yo, that would have been a travesty if this happened, bro. But that's why, yeah, man, that's for all the people that say wrestling is fake. Yeah, I mean, it's just like, nah, dog. Yo, what's up with these ropes? It seems like more and more the ropes are just getting slipperier, man. Like, you got this, you got AJ Styles situation, bro. Shout out MM Garza, 1997. More people talked about Jake Paul's fight than anything in WWE. Nah, that's a fact, bro. AEW has a good looking for the 5. Yeah, that's sad, dog. It's definitely sad. Triple K was at the White House. Oh, yeah, I didn't even listen to what he was talking about. Let me hear what he was talking about at the White House, man. Like, oh my God, man. Did y'all hear, like, it's crazy how, what's the name? Mick Foley said he ain't messing with WWE because of that White House stuff. Triple H go right in.
Waiting just to go into the Oval Office to meet with the president. People asking, what do you do during the holidays to stay in shape, to get stronger, to be healthy? The thing is, I think if you're just trying to figure that out, enjoy your holidays. Enjoy the holiday season. Take.
Yo, this dude is an idiot. Am I bugging? People are asking me, what do you do to stay in shape during the holidays? Just enjoy your holidays. Okay, dog, you didn't answer the question. So if I'm just believing Triple H, you're the head of health in the White House, right? Okay, Triple H says, just enjoy my holidays. Okay, let me get some of them sugar cookies grandmama's baking. Okay, let me get some of the mac and cheese. Let me get some of the turkey that was still left over from Thanksgiving. This dude is an idiot. The least thing you could do is think of an answer. All right, y'all, if you watch this and you listen to Donald Trump, how low does your IQ have to be the head of health? If you ask me, Bobby Monsoon, what can I do to be healthy on the holidays? I'm gonna be like, okay, maybe don't go too crazy. Don't get 2 plates, stick with 1 plate. You don't gotta double back for the plate. You don't gotta get the cherry cheesecake, the strawberry cheesecake. You don't have to have the ice cream on it too. Just fall back a little bit. Maybe a chicken salad. Maybe some chicken. Maybe some string beans. Maybe some collard greens, or maybe some rice. You know what I mean? Just keep it. Get a mixture of protein, fats. You know what I mean? Try to lay off the sodium. This dude says, just enjoy the holidays. Just stuff your face. Dog. I gotta put my application in for the White House, man. Your boy Bobby Basu gotta get in there, dog. I cannot believe this.
Asking, what do you do during the holidays to stay in shape, to get stronger, to be healthy? The thing is, I think if you're just trying to figure that out, enjoy your holidays.
This dude is how do you get stronger on the holidays? Just enjoy the holidays. I guess I'll get stronger by ripping gifts open.